Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and Mega Evolutions is right around the corner. I mean, kind of. It's like a month away, but it's been out in Japan a while as well, and I've been talking about it a while. So, in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty close here. And Mega Evolutions, the expansion, or Mega Evolution, the expansion, which is part of the Mega Evolution block, which contain the Mega Evolution cards. The naming of these is obviously it's kind of bad, right? But anyways, we're going to be taking a look at the expansion Mega Evolution, but not the Mega Evolution cards themselves, as in like the new Mega EXs, because we're taking a look at a GLC and other alternate format overview here. And I'm not going to lie, I don't really play GLC that much. I play it some, and then other formats. I mean, there's like the live. Trainer trials, there's lots of different things. So when I'm saying alternate formats, I'm mostly talking about like single prize formats and things like that, where you might be seeing weaker cards as opposed to the standard format where there's a lot of very strong decks where people mostly talk about the top decks. So, anyways, let's just hop right in and start. We are going in order here. This is Pokemon Proxies, which also has a scrolling thing here, which is kind of annoying. But it's broken down into the two sets, Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia, which are the two Japanese expansions. So we'll be going in that order. Normally it's type order with a set, but it's a little different here. It's not entirely type order. We see it's type order within the sets, but there's some types that are featured in both of them. Also, I'm not talking about previous evolutions here because honestly, I don't know enough about the previous evolutions. Obviously, if there's like a good previous evolution, that's a different thing. But in terms of nitpicking between HP versus retreat cost versus minor attack differences, not going to be talking about that there. But also, I'm not entirely like I'm not going to talk about like this random executor. I guess I'll mention the Celebi here, though. This is the first card we'll talk about, which lets you search for 3 in any combination of grass Pokemon and stadium cards. This seems okay, not as strong here as what is it? The Zarude, which I believe, the Zarude, which I believe sees play mostly for a second attack, but it does allow you to search and set up, which is pretty nice here. There's some utility here. Stadiums are, we'll talk about it later on in the video, but there's a pretty good grass stadium. There are some decent ones in general, but they'll be kind of interesting here, though not the most interesting card here either. Then we have a Shiftry. Most of these are actually not grass, so you can play this one if you want, but it's not so good. You have Ninetales, which lets you copy the supporter of the top card of your deck. Probably not very good there, though, because I mean it's like requires setup and it's an evolution, and it's not that good of a payoff, right? Then we got this Volcanion. This is okay here, 130 for 3 fire, and then put 2 fire attached to it back to your hand. Looking at GLC, we can see. Let's see what are people playing here. This list doesn't play too many basics. It plays like Gouging Fire is very strong, and it plays this Volcanion as well. This Volcanion is pretty nice, which is an attacking like option in terms of dealing damage and also accelerating energy here. And overall, I don't hate this card, but I'm also not in love with it. It's kind of meh, but did figure I'd mention it. Then we have the Cinderace. This Cinderace is really cool within Fire here and any deck. Honestly, this is just one of my favorite cards from the set, and it's a card with the ability Explosiveness. We've also seen this on some other Pokemon, either identically or similarly, and it says you can start this as your active Pokemon when you're setting up, and so it needs to be in your opening hand of those 7 cards. And obviously, the less basic Pokemon you have, the more likely you are to have this in your opening hand because you can mulligan into it. Also, it does have the property, which I'll mention here, that if it's the only Pokemon in your hand that could be started or act like that, because there is also the item Snorlax Stall, which is kind of similar, then you're allowed to mulligan, or you can not mulligan. So you could reveal them to your opponent and say, like, oh, I don't have a basic because it's not a basic. Or you could say, we could start it, right, and then not mulligan. It's kind of cool there. Obviously, mulliganing normally isn't something you have the choice to do. I know in other games like Magic and stuff. I don't know. I don't know about other games other than Magic, but you are allowed to mulligan, but in Pokemon you can't, except for this weird situation, which I've actually played a deck with in the past. Is it useful? It's like moderately useful. It's like mildly useful, honestly, but it does have some useful other stuff on it. It does have 160 HP, which is pretty good for a Pokemon that's like kind of a basic. And then also it does for one colorless to do 50 and then attach up to 3 basic energy from your deck to your bench Pokemon any way you like. For your tree, high HP, it's just very, very good stats here. So again, if this was a basic, it would obviously be insane, but it's not a basic. It's a stage 2. You could play it as a stage 2 normally as well, but I probably wouldn't do that. I mean, there's another Cinderace, which is like okay. There's actually a few that are okay, but the main one I think is this one that accelerates to itself, and there's also this one that does damage based on prize your opponent's taken, and it's single strike and stuff. But anyways, like they don't see play. They're not like they're okay. They're not they're not super strong cards there though. But this Cinderace is it's interesting as a one of. I wouldn't play it as a card that obviously GLC everything's a one of. I wouldn't play it with the previous evolutions, and it's kind of sketchy, but it is kind of fun here with legitimate value if it actually sets up here. And then apparently not all the cards are loaded, so I'll refresh. Then we have let's see, we got some pretty generic cards here. We got this Tyro, kind of interesting, can do some damage with some coin flips here. Has free retreat, it's a baby Pokemon, free attack, things like that. It's okay, I guess, if you're looking to set up something else but still want to do some damage. And you could take advantage of some fighting type damage boosting effects or something like that. So it's like kind of fun here. Is it good? Not really, but it is like kind of worth mentioning. And I believe it's the only baby in this set. Not sure. Not really sure what's going on with the baby like mechanic or pseudo mechanic. I actually recently talked about it. It's gone through a lot of changes in the Pokemon TCG, but it's not an actual official mechanic right now. Regardless, it is kind of fun. Fighting type has a lot of stuff in the set though. A really interesting card here is Hariyama. Hariyama has the ability Sumo Catcher. On play from hand, you gust one of your opponent's Pokemon, which is pretty good, right? Gusting is very useful. Fighting is also a pretty interesting type in GLC, where you have a lot of different Pokemon that are very solid, but they don't necessarily have amazing synergy. Like you look at this list, you have a few spread options. You have some big hitters. We do see this Tyrogue as well in this list, which also like kind of I didn't mention it, but it kind of takes away. You can't play both Tyrogues in GLC, but it's also kind of meh. It's a free retreater. It has like an attack that can end your turn and do some damage. It's a similar card, honestly. But anyways, here we see that you got like a wide variety of different Pokemon. I think Hariyama fits that description pretty well, and a lot of these are hitting the active. The spread ones are doing a little bit of spread damage, but they're not doing a ton. Kind of setting up Miscellaneous as well, or other things. But you could use this in combination with, like, say, Machamp or something to finish off one of your opponent's Pokemon. So that's a nice little ability there. But we've seen this ability in the past, and it's been okay at times. It's been not as okay at times. But the really interesting thing here as well is that you have a good attack, which is 210 for 3 fighting, and then 70 to yourself. So a lot of self damage here. It does have 3 retreat as well, and so that's kind of good with heavy ball if you're playing that. But it is pretty interesting here being able to do a lot of damage. It is like kind of sketchy because it damages itself a lot as well. But it's nice. I believe it does more than anything else in the deck, except for Blood Moon or Luna, with certain setup. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else in fighting. Just going to look at a few lists here. Yeah, and I mean, most of them are hitting solid damage. I mean, 210's a lot, right? You're not really looking to hit 210, but it is still pretty cool here. But then the cards I think you're definitely playing here are going to be the Lunatone and the Solrock. Lunatone lets you, if you have Solrock in play, discard a basic fighting from your hand to draw 3 cards, and that's like once per turn, but that doesn't matter. So then it allows you to draw cards semi-consistently. I mean, I've kind of complained about Revavroom in the past because it requires you to discard energy from your hand, and that's also type-specific. You're probably just playing basic fighting, but wait, is Revavroom, is that basic? Energies, I don't remember. No, it's not just basic. So this isn't all your energies. You're probably playing, assuming you're playing Okidogi, you're playing like some special energies there. And even if you're not, you're still playing some special energies. But Lunatone is still a decent draw card. It's not going to be crazy like some other ones, but it's pretty solid here for getting you some extra cards throughout the course of the game. It's just not as reliable if you get like hit with a Lake Game Disruption card. But then also the Solrock is pretty solid, doing 70 for 1 if you have Lunatone on your bench, which is good. Doesn't have weakness or resistance, which normally I'd say is bad, but in GLC, when your deck is one type, then this gets around resistance, which could be very meaningful. If your opponent's like resisting fighting, which is the type with the most resistance in the game, then Solrock could actually be pretty nice for that. So overall, some really solid pieces here. For fighting, I think they're going to go in pretty much every fighting deck, and just in general, they're very good cards. I've talked about them a bunch already, but they're quite good. Then we have this Marshadow, kind of fun here. If you take a knockout, then you're immune to all damage and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. That's obviously good, being completely immune. You only do 60 for 2. As I said, there are some damage buffs, but it's not like amazing. So you're not going to be consistently taking knockouts with this. But if you are, you're just going to win, presumably. Your opponent could like gust or like gust twice through something. But that's kind of hard to do. So Marshadow is going to be very nice here. Potentially if it sets up, but probably won't set up. So it's just kind of meh, but it's interesting here. Then we got there's some mediocre Stone Genre. We do have this Garganackle. This is pretty interesting here, increasing the damage your fighting Pokemon do by 30. I mentioned damage buffs. This is another one. That being said, I don't love it here. I mean, it's all right, but there's some other decent Garganackles, including the one that accelerates fighting from your discard and then also heals, which I like a lot more. I'm a pretty, I guess, a fan of that card. And this one, in my opinion, just a little worse, but still an alright card. Then we have Spiritomb. Spiritomb's. Oh, actually, I guess Crawdon's. Wait a second. No, all the core fishes. So in GLC, I believe all the core fishes, yeah, they're water, so you can't play this. But in like other formats, 130 for one if it has damage counters on it, is okay. You could pair this with something like Rainbow Energy or whatever. But obviously GLC not so good. You could pair it with like Zoroark, but that's bad, because that's a lot of moving pieces for something that's just kind of okay. Then we have Spiritomb though. This is interesting. I will say within the darkness type, Spiritomb, in my opinion, is a pretty good Pokemon. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. It's not in all the lists. It's not like this one, for example, but it is played. Like we see it here. It's a cool card, and this obviously is another Spiritomb, right? So they take up the same like slot within the deck, or same name. But this is interesting with the ability as translated here as a Resentful Maelstrom. This says whenever your active Darkness Pokemon is damaged from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you put one damage counter on the attacking Pokemon. You can also do 10 for 1 Darkness and mill 1, which is like okay, I guess. But the ability is interesting. Doing extra damage throughout the course of the game is good. It's not a ton of extra damage, but if your opponent's like chipping away at you, it could be interesting here. So it's not probably good enough. And also the other Spiritomb, I do like a lot. It's just a pretty solid 1 energy attacker here, but the Spiritomb is still a pretty interesting card. We got a moderately interesting Yveltal here, which can stop your opponent retreating, do decent damage, has free retreat, and has like okay HP and resistance here. So kind of fun, nothing crazy, but decent. Then we got Thievul. We got ourselves a Grafaiai. Then we have the Steelix. So you can't really play Steelix, right? Because Onyx is fighting in GLC, but you can do 240 for 2 if you have exactly 6 prizes remaining. So kind of interesting there if you could somehow play it, which there isn't a way to do, really. There are ways to cheat these Pokemon to play, but they're pretty rough. And then we have the Dialga. This is okay. Actually, it's pretty decent. The other Dialga being played is the Dialga. I believe it's from Celebrations. Where is Metal? Here it is. So let's see. I imagine it's I know it's in some lists. Oh yeah, it is in this list. So it does for 3, it's going to be doing 120. This one for 3 is doing 80, or it's going to be doing 160 if you shuffle the energy attached to it back into your deck, which is pretty good because you're playing Metang, which is a very important part of your deck to get more energies onto your board, and it's from your deck. So that synergizes pretty nicely here. This one can theoretically do more than 160, but you need no, not 11. You need 6 energy, I believe. Yeah, if you have 5 energy, you're doing the same amount, and then 6, you are doing more. You don't need to shuffle them back in, but it's still kind of sketchy. With like that more energy, that's not great. And then Dialga, again, it does lose the energy. If you do 160, you do have an attack 30, heal 30 from yourself, so that's okay for 1. It's not like that good. Dialga, the other one, with its first attack is pretty nice. Recovering a card from your discard pile into your hand can be useful during the setup phase of the game to get back like a setup item or supporter or whatever. Obviously, if you don't have anything, it's not going to get you anywhere. And if you have like everything, it also isn't. I mean, it can be useful to recover something like a tech trainer or Pokemon or whatever, right? But it's not crazy useful. I do like this new Dialga. I don't love it, but I do like it. Then we have this Tinkatuff. Wait a second. Are all the Tinkatons, I believe in GLC, all the Tinkatons, yeah, they are all metal. Or sorry, they are not metal. None of them are metal. They're all psychic, except for this new one. So you can play this here. On play here, you flip a coin of heads, remove an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon, or from their active, so it's like Crushing Hammer. A little more clunky, though you could reuse it with scoop up effects. Then we have Tinkaton here, 160 HP, and for only 1 metal, you do 240, but 60 less for each energy attached to your opponent's active. I don't hate this. I don't think it fits in super well with metal. As we were just taking a look at the list, we see that there's like moderately expensive Pokemon and energy acceleration. Oh yeah, Bronzong as well for energy acceleration. And then you have like 3 energy attackers and stuff like that. So the Tinkaton's very different. That could be good, but it's probably like not going to work so well. You're not playing like Rare Candy. You're not playing any stage 2. Oh no, you're playing Metagross, but that's like different. So overall, Tinkaton's kind of interesting. You have the interesting Tinkatuff as well. Is it good? It's probably okay. It could be very strong at times, but it's most of the time going to be not so strong. Then we got ourselves a generic Firo here, a bunch of generic cards, but then we have some good cards. We do have Gumshoes, the last card before we take a look at some of these trainers. This is in two parts though, Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia on this webpage. But Gumshoes here can swap the card in your hand with the top card of your deck. This is pretty interesting. It's same as the Oranguru, which is just like better in pretty much every way. It's just a basic, which does the same thing. But if you really want to lean into Oranguru, this gives you a second copy. Would you want to do that? Probably not. I mean, you're probably not even playing that Oranguru. I suppose if you want to play the other Oranguru, the one that does, I don't know, one of the, oh yeah, no, the one's banned. So the one that draws you cards, up to 3 cards in hand, then you could play this Oranguru with this wait, no. This Oranguru with this Gumshoes. So that's like something. Is it good? Probably not, but did want to mention it here. Okay, Pokemon proxies. Why aren't your cards loading? Anyways, then we have some items and other trainers. These are really interesting here. Iron Defender is pretty cool. Saying that your metal Pokemon take 30 less. Is it good? I don't know. If you look at metal type, again, you can see a bunch of cards reducing damage or healing, so it has synergy there, though I don't know how strong it is. However, Premium Power Pro is super good. Lightning is, I guess, my favorite type. I actually don't love the deck, but regardless, I do like the type Lightning. And a very nice card is Electro Power, increasing damage you do by 30 the turn you play it. Premium Power Pro, same thing, but for fighting. Fighting just, it's a more, I'd say, linear type, maybe. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but Premium Power Pro is pretty interesting here. Just increases the amount of damage you're doing. Interesting? I don't know. I mean, it's good. It's just good. It's obviously not an entire game thing, but on one turn it can, I mean, it can win you games, so it can get you knockouts. It's very, very good. So Premium Power Pro definitely going in like every fighting deck here. Then we have Fighting Gong as well, also going in every fighting deck. If we look at Psychic, and if we look at Grass type, we can see cards that are like the same. So we look and we see let's see. Psychic, we ourselves Fog Crystal. That's going to be in like pretty much every Psychic deck you gotta imagine. In Nest Ball, or sorry, Net Ball in Grass. Also Nest Ball, but Net Ball. And so they search for the same thing that Fighting Gong does, which is a basic Pokemon or a basic energy of a certain type. Either, Psychic is Fog Crystal and Psychic. Grass for with Netball, and Fighting Gong here, of course, getting fighting Pokemon or energies. So that's pretty good here. Obviously, it's not like, I mean, it's not the most powerful card in the game, but it's definitely better than the other ball search options in general. So definitely going into the list. I will say Fighting sometimes, funnily enough, actually plays, I believe it's Team Magma Ball. I don't know if it's common, but I've seen it in a few lists. And which is kind of funny for like Ball Guy and stuff, but it's not a ball, but it's still good. It's a very, very nice card to have in your list. We got Repel. I don't. No, yeah, that's not new to the format, but we do Lieutenant to Steel. This card I've talked about some. I can't imagine it's good. You ask your opponent if they agree to have each player take a prize card, and if your opponent agrees, you each do it. And if they don't, you draw 4. Draw 4 is it's okay, right? Draw 4 is pretty good, but it's not like absurdly good. Also, hopefully my cord is okay. My computer might die. There we go. I fixed it. And then each taking a prize is like kind of neutral, right? I mean, you're each taking it, right? So how good can it be? It's a funny card. Probably bad, right? But didn't want to mention it here. Then we have Lily's Determination. This card's like super good. Talked about this a bunch. I talked about mostly for standard, but shuffle draw 8 at the beginning of the game after you've taken prizes or any number. Or I suppose if you've been given more prizes, which could happen in expanded. I don't believe it can happen in GLC. Comment down below if it can, but I'm pretty sure it can't. And then so then at that point you'd be shuffle drawing 6, and then later on if you took 1, you'd be shuffle drawing 8. But anyways, it's shuffle draw 8 at the beginning of the game. Then most of the game is shuffle draw 6. Shuffle draw 6 is pretty, like, it's fine. People play Cynthia some. I think Cynthia's a decent supporter. I don't think it's played that much, but it's pretty solid. It's pretty good. Then Liz Determination is like better than that for the most important part of the game. So it's like really good. Shuffle draw 8 is like by far better than anything we have in the format. If it was just shuffled right all the time, it would be broken. It's still very good. In my opinion, it's kind of broken. Dangerous Ruins puts damage counters on non-basic or on basic non-darkness Pokemon when they play them from their hand onto their bench. Or no, it says onto their bench. I believe it's from hand onto the bench. If anyone knows of, I mean, I believe it says the same thing on Limitless as well, but that seems like wrong, right? That's not how any cards work. So if anyone knows of another place other than Limitless or like Pokemon proxies in which this card's been translated and it's been translated this way, tell me down below in the comments. I will say don't leave a link. The link will just be deleted by YouTube, I think. But anyways, it's like useful here, I guess, for doing some extra damage, but it's kind of sketchy, kind of hit or miss. And also like your opponent has control over it, right? So comparing it to the Spiritomb earlier, which is where is it? Here we go. It's kind of similar, right? Your opponent kind of has control over it. Spiritomb is like always going to be in play though. Well, not always in play, but when it's in play, it's in play. Your opponent can't do too much about it. They could theoretically turn it off. More likely they could just knock it out, or more likely they just probably ignore it because it's not that much damage. Dangerous Ruins is something they can just bump, right? So Dangerous Ruins is okay. If you want to get synergy with damaging your own Pokemon, it's kind of cool. Funnily enough, it's bad with the Spiritomb that wants to damage on it because it doesn't damage it, but there are some situations to use it. Is it good? It's okay. Then we have some generic grass Pokemon. We do have a less generic grass Pokemon though, which is Meganium, doubling grass energy. This seems good. Let me check on something. I know there is a grass Pokemon by the name of Venusaur, which does the same thing. I don't think it has the same ability name. I actually don't know. People are playing grass in some different ways. A lot of people are playing it with a more focused on more streamlined attackers with less energy. Not like a bunch of stage twos, but anyways, I'll just search it up here. So Venusaur here from Shining Legends or something. Let's find it here. Yeah, Venus. Where is it? Venusaur from Shining Legends says it's the ability Jungle Totem. Each basic grass energy. Oh, it provides 2 grass, but it doesn't stack with itself. But as far as I'm aware, they work together, but also it just 1 energy provides 2. So I don't think it matters if it stacks or not. Someone comment that down below if I'm wrong about that, or if I'm right. I want to just kind of know. But anyways, they're useful as they kind of do the same thing. And also Venusaur, oh, they have the same HP, but Meganium has a better attack, it just does more damage, and a lower retreat cost. So that's good. I don't know too much about the evolution lines, but this Meganium's like better. So yeah, that's kind of good. Is it anything new? No. And are you looking to play 2 of it? Probably not, but it is interesting. So did want to mention that. Shuckle is kind of cool. If you know Monkey Dory, Shuckle is not as good as Monkey Dory, but it's kind of similar, I guess. It's the healing aspect. So if it has a grass attached, you can heal 30 from one of your Pokemon. I guess the good thing is it's the same type of energy as the type of Pokemon it is, which is especially good for GLC, but also just like probably better in general. But anyway, Shuckle here is okay, in my opinion. They're not great. And then we got ourselves a Pyroar. That doesn't seem very good. We have a Centiskorch, which also doesn't seem very good, though it has some energy disruption. This Chew is like crazy stadium hate, but that seems like terrible, right? But anyways, it's kind of funny. Then we have Kyogre here. I mean, it's okay for setup, I guess. But then Kyogre here with Riptide for 1 water. You do 20 for each water energy in your discard, then shuffle all those cards back into your deck. Also 130 for 3, discarding 2 from it, and with 150 HP. Those aren't like terrible stats. They're not amazing, but they're okay. But anyways, Riptide is very interesting. This definitely could go in some water decks, right? Water, you're generally looking to there's some different things you can do, but the general idea would be use something like Frostmoth. You could be using Blacks or Excalibur as well. And you have these energy-hungry attackers, and then if, say, your Warlord with like 300 HP or whatever goes down, then you lose a bunch of energies, and then you're going to be able to go ahead, shuffle them back in, and do some pretty like all right damage. I mean, we see like 6 waters. I think splash energy doesn't count. I know special energies are kind of wacky. You could even play more if you wanted, obviously. This one plays 8 here. But then when it plays more like energy hungry attackers like Starmie, like discards it as well. So that's decent synergy. Oh, we also do see this Kyogre. Yeah, I forgot about that card. So there's this Kyogre, which is it's a card that like works in a similar style deck with lots of energies. This Kyogre though is definitely the old one is like, it's a snipe attacker. This one's a finisher. They're actually kind of a similar role, funnily enough. But I'm not a huge fan of the new one, but it is kind of fun. Also, there is a for Alligator from what set is it? Dragon Majesty. Okay, so this has the same attack here, and also does an ability that lets you just discard water energy. So you could play like for Alligator Kyogre. That seems kind of terrible. I'm not gonna lie, but it's kind of funny. There is also the Basque Legion or whatever, the Hisuian Basque Legion, which is like the same thing. You just recover the energies back to your deck. It is free, but it is a stage 1, and also has less HP, lower retreat. There's a bunch of differences there, but I did want to mention that as well. Then we have Clawitzer. Clawitzer is really interesting here, saying once during your turn, this Pokemon moves from the active to the bench, you can accelerate 2 water from your hand to this. Then it does 210 for 3 water and discards all the energy attached to it. I will also mention there is a switching water state, and we'll get to that in a second, but Clawitzer is it's definitely it's kind of interesting here. You know, it's a very solid chunk of damage here, and it's payable. It's a little more setup than I like, but it's all right, especially if you want to play it with something like Palafin. Um, from what says it from I don't know this one from yeah, Obsidian Flames. There we go. Where you switch it in, then you like do damage. That's pretty cool there. And Palafin's kind of fun. And then Escaloncer is also kind of fun. So I've not really talked about this card that much on the channel. Yeah, I've heard some comments about it. But I think it works pretty well with Palafin and other like switching stuff as well. I think there's like a not Totodile, Croconaw, there we go, which has like an interesting switching ability as well. So anyways, it's kind of fun there. Is it amazing? I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's pretty decent. I mean, 210 on Palafin, 210 on Clawitzer, kind of fun there. Then we have this interesting Italian. I'm just gonna say this card, probably don't play this card in GLC, because there's a really good Italian. And there's another decent Italian as well, but anyways, in like other formats you could, and then you have the attack. Water shot 110 for 1 is okay, I guess, but then bring down is more interesting. The Pokemon in play with the least HP, except for this, is knocked out. If there's multiple, you choose one, so it can allow you to like snipe weird things. Is this useful? This seems like super weird and wacky, but really funny. So did want to mention it, though. It doesn't seem super good. We got a spread Frostmoth, which seems very sketchy and not synergistic with like anything, but funny. We got a Magnezone. Okay, this one's interesting. For 1 Lightning, you do 170 if you evolve this turn, and then 160 with Flashing Bolt every other turn. So that's pretty interesting there. Not a bad card at all. Not amazing, but definitely decent. And there's some pretty cool Magnetons, so this is fun. There's some decent Magnezones as well, but I do like this. Then we have Raikou, which does if you have 4 Lightning in play, it does 120. It's okay. Is it amazing? No, but it's all right. And it's 2 Lightning on it. The 2 other Lightning should be elsewhere. We got Pachirisu, which says during your opponent's next turn, whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to the defending Pokemon, put 8 damage counters on it. Very sketchy / niche, but still kind of interesting here. Then we got Kadabra in Alakazam, which are draw cards. I will say Psychic has pretty good draw. It could do a little more. I don't think this is quite what you're looking for. The stage 1 on play, you draw 2. Stage 2 on play, you draw 3. Then your attack for 2 or 1 Psychic does essentially 20 for each card in your hand. Is it good? I don't know. No, probably not. It's probably not very good. It's kind of interesting here, though. I think there's another Psychic hand-size attacker. I'm not sure, actually. I was thinking of NDD, but that's not Psychic. And then I was thinking of Tinkaton DX, but obviously not for GLC there. But, kind of fun. Is it good? Probably not, but whatever. Then we have, oh, yes, I'll mention this Ralts. I know that I'm pretty sure this Ralts is the best Ralts. But then Grubbig we got here, which accelerates energy on play from the top of your deck. Kind of fun there, but kind of bad. I'm not gonna lie. Xerneas has a search attack and also a solid damaging attack, kind of like what you see with the Zygarde. Or no, not Zygarde. Zarude. I kind of like it for yes, basic Psychic onto your bench. So it's not quite the same there, but it is kind of fun. Could you play it? Yeah. I mean, the damage isn't amazing. There are better attackers in terms of damage, but it is interesting for its utility as well. Then we have Latios, which doesn't do anything. We have Delibird, which is kind of funny, but also kind of bad. Then we have, let's see, we got Lopunny, everyone's favorite Pokemon. Okay, then we have the trainers here. Most of these are very situational. Well, no, most of them are bad. They don't do anything. Mega Signal, Ace Rolls Mischief, and Wildest Compassion don't do anything here. But Suspicious Watch does. This is kind of interesting, allowing you to devolve one of your Psychic Pokemon in play, or turning any number of its evolutions into your hand to devolve it. Kind of fun there. Not sure of its use cases. I'm trying to think. I'm going to look at Psychic real quick. Yeah, okay, this is what I was thinking. It doesn't really seem like there's much use here. I guess you could devolve your Gallade into your Kirlia to draw cards, but that seems kind of weird. And not very good. I guess there is also that like Nadu, which can take extra prizes, so you could do something like that. That also seems like super situational, but did want to mention it. It is kind of fun. There are some other cards from the set that work with it. Is it amazing? No. Is it good? No, but it is fun. Then we have some really good cards here. We got Mystery Garden sticking with Psychic, letting you discard an energy from your hand of any type, and then it lets you draw until you have as many cards in hand as Psychic at Pokemon in play. This is pretty interesting. Obviously, all your Pokemon will be Psychic. I said interesting. It's like just really good. In Standard, it's interesting. It's still good in Standard, but it's not super broken. In GLC though, it's so good. You can also search it out if you're playing Guzman Hollow, which is nice and close to nasty and a stadium search stuff. And then you also have Dimension Valley, a strong stadium here, so you just want to put this in. Just definitely, it's very very good. And it's great for setup. It's not and like late game draw as well. It's it kind of competes with Dimension Valley, but not really. Mostly it's just very strong. Also, I don't know why this is flickering. But then we have I could give more about this, but it's very good. Then we have Surfing Beach. Surfing Beach I've talked about with standard, and it's pretty bad in standard, but GLC it's much better. It allows you to switch one of your active water Pokemon with one of your bench water Pokemon. Now, the issue with this card in standard is the fact that, most of your Pokemon aren't water, even if you're playing a water deck, which you're probably not playing a water deck either because water isn't so good in standard. I'm going to quickly look at the decks to see if there's a water deck here. Let's see. There's Wellspring, Ogre Pontiacs. There's Wugtrio. I don't think I missed a water deck. There was Chimpao Excalibur, which is okay, I guess. I mean, I'd say it's a little underrated. Is it good? Not really, but it's okay, I guess. My Allergic EX is water. And what Greninja even is this Greninja EX? Yeah, so that's also not water. So anyways, there's not many water Pokemon in standard. GLC though, in water, all your Pokemon are obviously water. And it's just a switch. How useful is this? It's like moderate. It's decently useful. It's a switch. It's a switch every turn it's in play for you. It's not a switch for your opponent. So, well, unless they're also playing water. But it's a very, very interesting stadium here with some legitimately solid utility. Is it an insane card? No, but it is definitely it's a pretty good card, right? Then we have the last card here, which is the Stadium Vitality Force. This is a grass card. It's very good. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. It's like way better in GLC than it is in Standard. And Alternate Force in general, allowing you to evolve your grass Pokemon the turn that you play them, assuming it's not the first turn of the game. And GLC generally will have longer games, and obviously all your Pokemon in the deck are grass Pokemon. You're going to have lots of evolutions. It's like super good. Works super well with Groddle. Works, I guess, well with Roserade. It works well with Vileplume. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's kind of nasty. Honestly, this card's like kind of broken. If you're not familiar, Force of Giant Plants is the same thing, but works the turn one going first or going second as well. Yeah, this is very good. It might get banned. I'm not gonna lie. It's very good, very annoying. Yeah, Vitality Force is kind of crazy here. One of the best cards from the set. Mystery Garden again, also very good. Lily's Determination good for a lot of decks. But anyways, tell me down below in the comment section what your thoughts are on this set with in Standard and GLC and any other format. If you want me to go over other formats as well, I've kind of gone over some expanded stuff, though not too much, but I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.